Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Miss Meredith Made. For those of you that don't know, I'm Meredith and I am the person behind all things Miss Meredith Made. Today, if you stick around, I'm going to be sharing my top 3 best-selling resources and why I think they are my best-selling resources. So something unique about me is I have found some success on Teachers Pay Teachers selling. I am just in my second full year selling on TPT. And the uniqueness comes into play that I have taught it all to myself. So I have not bought any courses. I have not really done much of anything other than trial and error and doing, of course, my own research. I have done a lot of reading, a lot of watching other people's YouTube channels. So if you're anything like me and you are trying to learn on your own the best that you can, you're in the right spot, because don't waste your time trial and error like I did. You're in the right place to see, what are teachers actively looking for, things like that. The other thing that I think is unique about my perspective of selling is that I am a buyer and a seller. So not only did I buy from Teachers Pay Teachers when I was teaching in the traditional classroom setting, but I am still buying now because I still am teaching. I am just a private tutor now. I do honestly create most of my own resources for my tutoring sessions. However, on occasion, I do need stuff to supplement what I have already created. So I am still a buyer, and I do think that's important because there are some sellers that give advice that have never bought from TPT or are not actively buying now. And I do think that that is really important to know and a good skill to at least have insight to. So even if you are somebody that is not a buyer, again, I think you're in the right place because you're going to be learning from somebody that is buying, and that's a definite key to know. Now let's get into what my top 3 best-selling resources are and why. Before, I do want to just give a quick disclaimer that none of the following products you are allowed to copy anything from. You can pull inspiration from it as far as topics and the niche that it falls under, but you may not copy thumbnail images, anything that is part of the product. My number 1 best-selling resources are any of my classroom decor, but specifically my sets that come for decorating your entire classroom. I'll show a couple over here. Right now I have a galaxy set that has been pretty popular. And mind you, I did not come up with the idea of decorating your classroom galaxy theme. Teachers have done that for a very long time. It recently has become a little bit more popular, but I didn't come up with the idea of decorating the classroom in a galaxy theme. However, how I did it and the design is my idea. So that's where I say you can pull inspiration and think, oh, hey, galaxy themed resources, that must be what teachers are looking for right now. Maybe I can create my own galaxy resources. Go for it. What I am saying is that you can't be pulling exactly how mine look, if that makes sense. The other thing that sells really well for me are my bulletin boards, and I'll show you one that has been selling like crazy recently because we're approaching the end of the year. So it is something to think about that teachers are planners. They typically like to buy things a month or 2 in advance. So we are sitting right now at the first week of April about, and teachers are buying these bulletin board kits. They have been buying them actually all the way from March. So they've been preparing and gearing up for the end of the school year now for a couple months. And typically the end of the school year is either like the last week of May, or for me, it was mid-June typically. I typically would put up my end of year school bulletin board the first week of May. Usually I tried to have it up the 1st of May. That way it could be up all of May, and we usually got out like midway through June. So for the teachers that are buying in March, I think that they are very similar to how I was. They wanted to know what they were going to be using to decorate, and they have it ready to go. They're probably starting to prepare it, laminating it, getting it all cut out. That way it is ready to be put up here in just about a month. So here's why I think that classroom decor, and specifically the classroom decor that I have been selling, why it is selling so much and so well. I think that it sells so well because, keep in mind, I was in the classroom, I was teaching, so I understand what teachers are looking for. And boy, do they need it to be quick and easy. Some of the bulletin board kits that are out there, they would take hours to put together. Mine, I definitely keep in mind the shortage of time that teachers have. So I try to make it as easy as possible. Literally print, cut it out, and go. If you want to laminate it, great. But I try to make the things big enough to where you don't need to laminate, meaning that, the paper won't be super, super fragile. The other thing with decor, no matter what kind of decor you are making, if it is really, really well done, for example, my bulletin board kits from start to finish, meaning creating the product itself, making the thumbnails, prepping the previews, writing the description, from start to finish. They take me just about 5 hours. So here's the thing. I know that teachers aren't going on Teachers Pay Teachers or wherever they're buying resources from and thinking, how long do I think this seller took to make that? However, they know from their own trial and error, I'm sure, that bulletin boards, they take forever to make, especially if you are making decorations to go with it. So typically my kits come with the clip art, the lettering, the borders, literally everything you could need. And a lot of times I like to have like a student aspect of it to where you can personalize it. And all of that from start to finish, I think that teachers, if they attempt to do it, they're like, whoa, this is taking me way too long. And at the end of the day, time is money and teachers do not have the time. I know for me, when I was in the classroom, I never once made my own bulletin board, and this is a true story. I actually tried to a couple of times, and that's why I say that I think this is what happens, because it happened to me. And I would try to make my bulletin boards, and I would be like, oh my gosh, no way. I'm only halfway through this, and I'm already like 2.5 hours in. So I would just break down and I would buy one, and I would think in my mind, hey, this is only $4, $5, whatever. I'm just gonna, fork over the money and get it over with because I'm running out of time here. So the thing is I know that teachers aren't thinking about, hey, for example, my bulletin boards are just around $5. So I know that they're not thinking about like, hey, I'm paying about $1 an hour for this resource that this seller made. But they probably do know that they're getting their money's worth. And that's really important, because if you are trying to sell stuff that teachers can make in 30 minutes, even an hour or less, it's not worth it for them. They have the skills to do it. It is really the time. So the second type of resource that sells really well for me are anything that includes social emotional learning. So I will share a couple that have been selling really well for me. The testing one, of course, is selling really well because a lot of times there are end of year state tests that students have to take part in. So teachers are trying to motivate. They're already very tired and ready for summer students. But I think the reason that social emotional sells really well is because, again, being in the classroom, what I saw, honestly, my experience was I hardly was actually able to be a teacher. That's why I think it's kind of funny when people will ask me now, like, hey, you're a tutor, but do you still consider yourself a teacher? Yes. I think I am actually much more effective teaching now tutoring than I ever was in the classroom, because all I was doing was mitigating behaviors all day long, putting out fires all day long. I don't know what is in the water, but the behavior now in classrooms is honestly insane. Somebody needs to do a case study on it and research classrooms, because I don't know what's happening. But I do know that it was bad for me, so I know that there are many teachers that are experiencing the same thing. So I try to really help teachers out that are experiencing this, then they can really benefit from the behavioral supports. The other thing that is nice about the social emotional resources are they are what you call evergreen resources, because they can be sold at any point throughout the school year, so they make you money throughout the school year, meaning evergreen, money being green. And the third resource that sells really well for me, and the third one is also an evergreen resource and even sells throughout the summer, are my tutoring resources. I'll share the best sellers here, but they are best sellers because a lot of teachers side hustle and a lot of teachers do tutoring not only during the school year, but a lot pick it up during the summer. So I do start to sell it around this time of year a lot more, as teachers are starting to gear up to get some tutoring sessions under their belt. And I'm just going to throw it out there again. If you are a teacher and you need to reignite that spark of loving to actually teach, you might actually love being a teacher and just not know it, because I don't think that being a teacher in the standard classroom anymore is really what it once was. But if you do want to actually enjoy spending time doing what you learn to do, I do highly recommend tutoring, because it honestly has really taught me that I didn't hate teaching. I never did. I just did not like being a teacher in today's society. So if you've ever thought about it, this is your sign to go ahead and do it, because it's a life changer, not only to reignite that spark, reignite your passion, but it also is a lifesaver when it comes to financial stability. I can honestly say that you can make a lot more money tutoring than you probably are teaching, especially if you are young like me. Maybe not if you've been teaching for 20 plus years, but if you're young like me, certainly you can make more money tutoring than teaching. Now, if you're curious what I made my first full year selling on Teachers Pay Teachers, check out the video right before this one, because I talked about what I made every single month in the month of 2024. And if you would like some more insight about tutoring and how I have made more money tutoring than I did teaching, then you can leave that in my comments too if you'd like a video about that. But the most important thing is that we become a community, and that you do comment your questions, that you do like and share these videos, that you do subscribe. Because the thing is I am not going to know if you want to hear this type of video if you don't engage with it. And also, I am not selling you any courses, I swear. I know that a lot of sellers, they get on here and they try to get you to comment, and then all they do is they refer you to their $100 course that they're trying to sell. And honestly, I'm not saying that I think it's a bad thing. I respect the hustle. There is a time and there is a place for it, but I'm still relatively new, so I'm not selling any courses. If you ask me a question, I will either respond to you right in that comment, or I will make a video about it. So let's use this as an opportunity to learn from each other and really make it a great experience for all of us. Thanks for being here, and I hope that this ignites some inspiration for your future products, and hopefully you see some success like I have in these types of resources. Until next time, I'll see you later.